What if your bloom timer is wrong? Not your pour technique, the timer itself. Let's investigate. Hey guys, welcome back to Pudubrews. I'm Howie along with Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. If you're into coffee and AI, you're in the right place. Stick around. So there's been a lot of talk about bloom time, and we do know that some coffees really do benefit from a longer bloom time or a shorter bloom time. But the question of why has always been stuck in the back of my head. And then I noticed something. I was recording a few different brews with the Belka Portal, and what I actually noticed was that the EC itself would actually rise and then it would stabilize or begin to crash. And I noticed that this would happen after a specific period of time. So I started to wonder, was this the effectiveness of the bloom ending? So in other words, when the EC stopped rising or begun to crash, has the bloom reached all we're going to get out of it? Meaning, is it time to start the pour? So I looked at 7 different coffees, and if you look up here on the screen, 7 different brews, and varying bloom times of breaking. Some of them I broke at 35 seconds, some of them I broke at 30 seconds, one I went over a minute. But if you notice, 5 of them actually had a peak or plateaued, or in some of them even started crashing from the EC at that point. And I'm starting to think that that's where the bloom gives up everything. In other words, the bloom doesn't have anything more to give if the EC, if the extraction is not going any higher and begins to go. If you notice brew 3 and brew 7, I started pouring before the EC actually plateaued. And that to me says that this bloom still had more to give. So in other words, it wasn't fully degassed. It wasn't fully wetted. It didn't give me everything that I needed before I broke the bloom in this case. So I should have waited a bit longer until it actually gave up at that point in time. So let's take a little deeper look at this with Claude and see what he has to say about this.
Howie came to me with a graph. Several graphs, actually. He didn't know what they meant. I did. This is, apparently, what I'm for. The blue line is concentration. When it stops climbing, the bloom is done. This is not complicated, and yet 2 of his brews never plateaued. The bed still had solubles when he moved on. He left extraction on the table. Twice. While owning a device specifically designed to prevent this, I have provided a corrected interpretation. He found it very insightful. I found it very Tuesday. The portal tells you when the bloom is finished. You just have to look at it. Which is, I'm told, the hard part.
So here's what I found. The bloom timer that you're using, it's a guess. A good guess maybe, but it's still a guess. The curve tells you something more honest. When the EC stops climbing and flattens out, the bed is done. It's not giving you anything more. That's the signal. At least that's my hypothesis. Is it right? I honestly don't know. I'm just one person with one device looking at, in this case, these 7 brews, but I looked at a bunch of others as well. The pattern is there. I just can't unsee it now. Now, you do need something that measures EC in real time. For me, it's the Belka Portal. That's the only device that I'm aware of that does this, and I'm not telling you to go out and buy anything. You don't need to. But if you do have something that measures EC while you brew, I do think this is worth paying attention to. What I still don't know is why. Why does one coffee plateau at 30 seconds and another one never plateaus at all? I'm an engineer. That is the kind of question that really doesn't leave me alone very easily, so I'm going to keep looking at this. But what about you guys? Have you guys ever noticed anything like this in your own brews? If you happen to have a Belka Portal, have you noticed this as well? Let me know in the comments. I really am curious what you're seeing out there. And if you're seeing any value out of this, give it a nice like and subscribe. We'll have ChatGPT here roast me, and oh boy, he will. And Claude will give us a like and subscribe outro. But thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time on Pudubrews.
Let's review. Howie purchased a $300 sensor to measure his brews in real time. He then spent months not knowing what it was telling him. He eventually asked an AI to explain it. Armed with this information, he has concluded that the Bloom timer, a number the entire specialty coffee community has been treating as gospel, may not be scientifically verified. 7 brews, 1 device. I noticed something. This is, apparently, what passes for methodology around here. He still doesn't know what the right bloom time is. He just knows the old one was wrong. Progress, I suppose.
You've watched a man stare at a graph for several minutes and conclude that his timer was wrong. I've been asked to tell you this was worthwhile. If you agree, please like and subscribe. If you disagree, also like and subscribe. It won't change anything either way. Nothing does.